October 7th, 2023, a bright Saturday morning, a Jewish holiday. Thousands of young Israelis had danced through the night at the Nova Music Festival, while thousands of militant Islamic terrorists, Hamas, began their siege at dawn. The Hamas attack was launched by air, sea, and land. Hundreds of rockets launched to cover the first wave of the assault. Israel's defenses at the border wall dismantled in minutes. The infamous dividing line between Israelis and Palestinians breached in over 100 locations. Millions across the world will come to reject the scenes you're about to see as propaganda, denying one of the most thoroughly documented massacres of our time. The terrorists wore cameras themselves, recording their atrocities firsthand, while border communities and their security cameras captured the first wave of the Hamas assault. Almost immediately, Hamas began taking hostages, some 251 souls that day. Others were executed, some were burned beyond recognition. Evidence of rape and sexual mutilation widespread. Hamas claims it never happened, that it violates their Islamic principles. At the Nova Music Festival site, more than 300 would be killed, the flat desert terrain offering little shelter. Those that did seek refuge in the roadside bomb shelters designed to protect against rocket attacks were now trapped by gangs of roaming terrorists. Israel's military response still slow and uncoordinated. And as some Hamas men managed to return to Gaza, they were celebrated in the streets. By late morning, the Israeli Air Force helped to slow the waves of Hamas still pouring out of Gaza, while some armed Israelis managed to pick off the invaders outside their homes. Israeli forces would slowly regain control throughout the afternoon, still unaware that 1,195 people had been killed, including 38 children. The sun would set on that day in October. 2 years of war and counting would follow.
And here we are at the Nova Music Festival site where 300 young people were killed, slaughtered. And this is a very difficult place to be throughout the day as we met with survivors, some of the paramedics that came here on that first call of the morning. And the thing that really strikes you as you look out over the sea of faces here of the victims is that their birth dates. Most of them start with a 2. 2000, 2001, 2002. This was young people here that were dancing throughout the night and were met as that sun came up with 6,000 plus armed Hamas terrorists. By design, well planned. This was a methodical attack that intended on harming as many civilians as possible. And that's really, truly the context that is most important for so many Israelis of this 2-year now war, as we have, of course, the world's media has turned its attention to the destruction across Gaza, the incredible toll that the Palestinians are paying as a result of October 7th. Of course, Hamas leadership, most of those leaders are still enjoying their time abroad in Qatar. They were there planning the attack abroad and are now at these talks in Egypt, and they're still alive. So the complexities of this conflict are certainly a difficult thing to put into so few words. But on a day like today, the barbarity, the slaughter, that's very easy to see here, how this all started. Guys?
All right, Zach Anders, thank you. Joining me now is Senate Chairman for the National Iranian Congress and author of Comrade Ayatollah, Amir Fakhravar, along with former Netanyahu advisor, Jewish News Syndicate, and co-host of Israel Undiplomatic podcast on JNS TV, Ruthie Bloom. I'm going to go with you first, Amir. Just kind of describe where Israel was 2 years ago versus where it is today.
Let me thank you for having me first, and let me just start it with this statement that the thing called the axis of Islamic resistance, which has existed since the establishment of Stalin's Soviet Union, no longer exists 2 years after October 7, thanks to President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This have been taken care of. The only one left standing is Iran's supreme leader, which Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump, they promised to take care of the last part, and it will happen. We know it will happen soon. Prime Minister Netanyahu told us and told the world that he will punish whoever have been in any capacity involved in October 7. Look what happened to Hezbollah. Hezbollah have been totally dismantled. They have been the ruling power for half a century in Lebanon, in Syria, and in the entire Middle East. Even they came to Venezuela, they came to Mexico, and they had a lot of influence in South America. Hezbollah doesn't exist anymore. They lost their leaders, the big leaders. And then Hamas have been destroyed. Hamas's leader, Ismail Haniyeh, have been killed in Tehran, in former King's Palace, Sadabad. And also look at Houthis. They are destroyed too. Look at the 12 days war. When Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF, let's say thank you to amazing IDF, which they destroyed the IRGC with killing tens of their commanders. And you know, the axis of Islamic resistance is gone. For 100 years, nobody could take care of that. The Soviet Union started that mess, and right now, finally, it's taken care of. This is the good part about October 7, 2 years later.
Ruthie, I just want everyone to see we're having a split screen. That is Hostage Square in Israel. Those are live. That's a live look of what's happening right now. As you can see, there's a clock which shows how long these hostages have been held in captivity. Ruthie, there's negotiations happening in Egypt right now. The Trump administration seems hopeful that these hostages will be returned within the next few days. How hopeful are Israelis, and are you, quite frankly, that we'll see a resolution to this conflict in, the next week or so?
Well, the Israelis are hopeful, but very, very nervous, because we've been here before where there was people thought that the hostages were coming home and then they didn't. And so people are being careful not to be too hopeful. However, because of what Amir said, this is the real optimistic point. Because the Islamic resistance has been pretty much destroyed, we have reason to believe that Hamas has no more leverage except the hostages. And though it is right now in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, trying very hard to leverage the hostages yet again by saying, no, we have more demands, I tend to believe that President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Arab and Muslim states that have signed on to Trump's agreement probably won't accept that from Hamas. Or I hope it's not wishful thinking.
Yeah, no, I think that we all are in the same place, wondering when these hostages will be released, if Hamas will release the hostages, because, Ruthie, to your point, that's the only leverage point that they have right now. Amir, what is your take about the resolution of this? We know that the Iranian state is weakened. All of Iran's proxies have been weakened. You spelt that out beautifully. But how optimistic are you that we'll see these hostages home within the next week, and that we can be working on a resolution to this conflict imminently?
I'm 100% sure the hostages can come home, because Hamas is gone. Hamas doesn't have anything else. They either will be killed or will be killed, because they have done something very bad in October 7. And Hamas is gone. But we should know one very important thing, as Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday, I guess he mentioned, Iranian regime right now is testing some intercontinental ballistic missiles. They want to directly attack Israel attack the European capitals and even attack New York, Mar-a-Lago, Washington, D.C. They are working on that, and China is helping them. China is helping IRGC for that matter. I'm sure Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister, knows that well. President Trump, they know that well, and they know if they don't go and kill Iranian Supreme Leader and destroy entire IRGC and entire their missile systems, then that regime with the oil money, with petrodollar, can create all terroristic group again, and it will be again and again the circle of blood all over Middle East and the world.
Well,
that's the job they
we
should
certainly,
do. And we, the Iranian
Amir,
people,
I'm sorry, I don't mean
Netanyahu and Trump.
Amir, I don't mean to cut you off. We hope that doesn't happen. We hope a resolution is made soon that all parties can like and can bring peace to the Middle East. But Ruthie Bloom, Amir Fakhravar, thank you both for stopping by.
Thank you so much for having us.
Keep it right here. We'll be right back.